position of getting some feedback on the parallel meeting for students that took place yesterday morning, which is also the reason why students could not be present in the training groups, because the bilocation is not even the 4-point education 4.2 students have the out of bilocation yet. I think the first one to speak will be Kristin Meyer from, no, the first one to speak will be Konstantinos sorry? Well, I may just say Konstantinos, okay? If that's all right. Thank you.
So, good morning. My name is Konstantinos Rachianiotis. I am a student Bologna expert from Greece. And together with Natasha, Kozlowska, and Kristin Meyer, we organized the first student Bologna expert and higher education reform expert meeting. I will give you well.
This one?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I will give you an overview of the student meeting that and then Natasha and Kristin will continue with what we discovered during our meeting and the discussions, the outcomes, and our next step as a student Bologna expert team. You have probably noticed that for the first time there were so many students attending a UNICA seminar. Our meeting was on Monday and Tuesday, and 23 students were representing 20 different countries. Let me tell you a few words about how the initiative started and how it was made to happen here in Madrid. Last November, together with the other Greek student expert and the Greek National Agency, we started gathering information from other national agencies about their student experts. Until January, we got responses from almost all national agencies, and we finally had a list with all student representatives in the Bologna teams. After EASEA and Directorate General for Education and Culture confirmed the student meeting during the UNICA seminar, Natasha and Kristin and I have been working on this initiative since last February. The purpose of this meeting was to get to know each other, the other student experts, and understand our role, share experience, establish channel for communication. Students are the key to the success of the implementation of the Bologna process. Students are at the heart of the Bologna process because all these ministerial conferences, the BFUG, these UNICA seminars, the whole Bologna process actually, it's all about the students. It's done for them, it's done for us. So, here we are, and all students were expecting from our meeting to become a community and a network, understand our role within the Bologna teams, ensure that students are involved in the teams, find ways how to be more active, and new student Bologna experts to know their role, and experienced student Bologna experts to share best practices and experiences. Finally, I would like to thank all students who attended our meeting, Mr. Frank Petrikovsky for making this initiative happen, Aspa Karabella from the Greek National Agency for her cooperation and great efforts the past 5 months, Frank McMahon for participating yesterday in our opening plenary and for his very useful and interesting presentation. Also, Giorgio Marinoni for his invaluable help and support in organizing the student meeting. It's a little bit ironic, I think, that the first student Bologna expert meeting takes place during the last UNICA seminar of this project. I hope next year that this initiative continues and there will be one student meeting annually. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Natasha, and as Konstantinos mentioned, I'll be presenting the outcomes and the discoveries of our seminar. So I must say this was a very interesting seminar, and the outcomes we came up with were hopefully will help us present and plan the next steps and make everything happen. So the main outcomes we have started with was the increased understanding of different national contexts which the student Bologna experts are working in. We have discovered that not all the students are in the same situations. Not all student Bologna experts are working for student unions. And obviously, to make it even more complicated, not each country has only one student union, but they can have 2, 3, or even 4, as it appeared. Therefore, that directly influences the student Bologna experts' role and what we do on a daily basis within national teams. So not only on a local level, but also on a national level. It was a very good experience to share what we have been going through. Some student Bologna experts have been in the role for the last 2, 3 years. Some of the Bologna experts has just started in the last week. So there's a great opportunity for us to exchange our views and what we do and our experiences, and not only say what we are doing, but also how we are doing those things. We decided that since it is a new initiative, and this is the first student Bologna experts meeting, we should work on improving our communication, and we have decided to establish, at the moment, informal communication channel, which is Facebook. And then we'll be working also on the virtual community once we have all students experts on the list and we ensure that everyone is getting provided with the same information. We also identified the need to build a team of student experts, and as we would like to see the students working together on a larger scale on the cross-border initiatives, something that we can identify and say that we can work together. And based on that, in the building of the team, we would like to get some structure, but we'll be looking and exploring the opportunities how to do it in the future. This also links to the next outcome, which is to guarantee the continuity of student presence within national teams, but also to guarantee the continuity of student cooperation, not on the cross-border level, so international, national, and try to engage and build up a bigger presence and increase the role of student Bologna experts in the teams. And finally, we also have discussed the role of ESU representatives and the student Bologna experts on the international level. We have distinguished that often it happens that the students Bologna experts are also holding the role of the ESU representatives. But the difference is that as they are coming there as the student representatives of the student union, directly elected, they cannot act as the Bologna experts, which is a bit different role, and they're coming from with the different capacity. We have identified that there is the implementation level, where student Bologna experts are needed, and there's also the policy level, when the European Student Union representation will be continuing their job on this. We would like to increase the cooperation between the implementation and the policy level by finding the links how student Bologna expert team could cooperate with the ESU in the future. We also find some discoveries, we would say. We call them the discoveries because these things were unknown before the seminar took place. So the first one is that there is a striking difference of student Bologna expert roles across national teams. Some of us are working on trainings, some are working on mobility campaigns, some of us are working closely with the student unions, some of us are working with academics. So because of the different environment, obviously our roles differ. So we would like to try to look into identifying and finding the framework of how the student Bologna experts' roles can be described. There's also the variation and structures in working practices. So because of the national teams, as the national teams differs, there sometimes are the stakeholders involved, sometimes there are only academics, and also the students are a minority, or there sometimes is no students in the teams. We would like to ensure also that those students will be perceived and will be used and needed in the national teams. But in order to do that, we would require a consistent training for student Bologna experts, which we are all lacking. When we came to roles, we often have not been trained. We often been joining the national teams of experts who have great understanding and the knowledge of the Bologna process. But the students are coming up with different perspective. There is nothing that is provided to us on the student level in terms of understanding what the other students do, how to work it out, how to deal with things. And even the fact that we don't know who we are across the team and who we should contact in terms of, I would like to have experience to check how it works in Greece. I now know that I can contact Konstantinos, or I can contact Omar in Turkey. So it is a good, we need this data, we need some sort of tools that will enable us to work together and better. And also, finally, it is just a point just to add up that all students have said that all national teams are often working on the label. So it's often all about the labels, and we don't have the direct impact on the labels. At the moment, we are not academics, we are not working in administration, and therefore we were hoping that our initiative will allow us to find something different that students could work on. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my name is Kristin Meyer. I'm on the same team with Natasha, the UK team, and I'll be presenting our next steps and kind of where we're going from here. So what we have been trying to do in this seminar is to just create a student expert team, and I think we were quite successful because now we can actually put faces to the names and communicate better. And hopefully that will enable us to keep the links and actually help each other out and share our knowledge and share our best practice. So hopefully we can continue keeping this Europe-wide student team. And we also want to ensure that there is some continuity, as Natasha has highlighted. It's very important to make sure that these kind of events maybe happen again next year. And what we're trying to do is to explore different options on how to make this continuity happen. And we discussed whether we can maybe link up with the European Commission to help us organize as students and support us a bit more. And we will be putting together a proposal on how to go about this when we go back home. Since also some of the activities needs to be a bit more tailored to students, since we are so different and have different roles compared to other Bologna experts. But also we need to highlight the importance of the national teams and the students being involved at national level as well, and helping the implementation on the ground level. So the support of the national teams and the support of Bologna experts in the national teams is just as important as the support from the Commission for student activities. We were also proposing to have at least one student meeting a year. It can be more if that's possible, if students want to organize more meetings. Obviously, that's also dependent on the financial issues, which we don't know yet what will happen with that. And we're proposing also to have a training session that is particularly targeted at students to address the issues that we had discussed in the past 2 days, because we are very different from the rest of the Bologna experts and we are at different stages in our knowledge, and it's just sometimes good to go back to the basics and review what has happened with the Bologna process since it started. And on that note also to enable students to share their experiences and best practices as well. As Natasha has mentioned, it's very important to keep up effective communication and find channels that work for us. So we're exploring both formal and informal channels, and obviously we have a Facebook group already, and we're trying to keep the momentum up now and make a lot of use of it. But with that comes also the Forum for Information Sharing, which will be the virtual community. And we're going to put up a database of the contact details of students, and so we can coordinate, because as Konstantinos has mentioned, it took quite a long time to actually get hold of all the information from the national teams on who the students are, their contact details, and it's just easier for us if we have some sort of database where we can go and see, yes, this is the Greek student Bologna expert, and this is whoever else, the other student Bologna experts, and we can contact them directly. And we're also planning to create a database of materials that student Bologna experts can use in terms of what the Bologna process is, so explanations and presentations of training sessions that Bologna experts might be giving, and so we can share our experiences and actually look at what other students are working on, and then if we would like to work on the same thing, we have an immediate contact, and we can then go from there and actually build up working groups and organize ourselves better. We have decided to set up 2 working groups within the student expert team, and one will be working on the relationship with the European Students' Union to build up the link with them, because a lot of the projects that the European Students' Union is running are very relevant to the student Bologna expert role, and the kind of knowledge that exists within ESU is very useful also for Bologna experts, and also we can bring another dimension to the European Students' Union as well from an implementation level, because as we have said before, the European Students' Union is more related to kind of influencing policy at European level. So having those 2 dimensions would be very useful. And the other working group that we're setting up is to work on handover and role descriptions, so that all students are aware of what their role is, and we can ensure some consistency across Europe in what students are working on and the linkages, and also to ensure that the students that are taking our positions when we leave know exactly what has happened in the past and what's going to happen next. And the last point is to identify opportunities for publications on the Bologna process from a student perspective, because it's always forgotten, and the kind of language that is usually used in the connection with the Bologna process might not always be the most accessible language for students to understand what is going on. So having students involved and writing from a student perspective really adds some extra value to that. And we're going to look into that as well. Our time frame for that is to see whether we can kind of implement most of these points by the end of October, November time maybe, when we will also know what will happen with the funding at EU level and with a new program for 2014, so we can then work on a plan to implement for 2014. And I think that wraps it up. I just want to say another thank you to all the students. Can we just maybe identify the students as well, if you want to stand up, because most of the other experts probably don't know who we are because we haven't been around much. And that's obviously not everyone, because some students have left already, unfortunately, but that's some of them. So thank you guys for your engagement.
Thank you very much, and a great thank you to all the students who have participated in this initiative. I think it's tremendously important, given the fact that, as you said, students are at the heart of the Bologna process and of the modernization agenda, and I'm sure that you will be successful in what you plan. You will see what you will be able to do by October or November this year, but this is the beginning rather than the end. So you will continue working. Right now, is there the one or the other question to our students here? If that is not the case, I thank you very much also for your wonderful presentation. I have two registrations for the Your Time